Is this the beginning of a new bull market, or did Bitcoin just give us a blow off top? Will the spot ETF be approved this week, or will we have to wait until 2024? On today's episode of Token Trader TV, we'll cover the Web3 headlines that are affecting the crypto market, and then we'll look at the charts themselves to see if we can discern which direction these tokens are going to go. We'll hear a bearish prediction from Timothy James that Bitcoin could go down to $5,000, and we'll talk about parallel channels and how these can help you find entry and exit points in your token trading. But first, a disclaimer. My name's Kalen Huntress, and I am an amateur. This is not advice. It is entertainment and education. Do your own research, make good choices, and be skeptical of what you hear clowns say on the internet. The only reason I'm making these videos is because I'm teaching my kids about token trading. And if you want to learn with us, come along. The big news this week was the big move in Bitcoin. I'm here in TradingView, and under the forecasting tab, I'm going to use this price range tool. And I'm going to go from the bottom of where we started the week at 34,000 and go all the way up to where we ended. And it tells me, look at this, we got almost a 12% gain this week. So that price measurement tool is really handy to see how fast things go. Now, because we had so much activity, there were a lot of liquidations. According to CoinDesk, there were $400 million of crypto liquidations, the most since August. And a crypto liquidation occurs when somebody has a stop loss that's triggered, and they are in a trade and then they get liquidated. And so they've not only lost the trade, they've lost their principal. And so if we look at the hourly chart of Bitcoin, then you can see what happened where we went here. I'll use this tool again in the price range tool from the top when we were at 38,000. And this is the hourly chart. So in 2 hours, less than 2 hours, it went down 7%. So for any traders that were long or short and had stop losses in this range, the volatility liquidated a whole lot of traders. Now, there was a lot of activity on the ETF front. From Ethereum this time, BlackRock proposed an iShares Ethereum Trust ETF, and NASDAQ filed to have it included on the exchange. So we're another step closer, according to the block, to having an Ethereum ETF in addition to a Bitcoin ETF. Now, this just broke today on the day I'm recording, on Friday the 10th, and you can see what happened to the markets. We went from 1917 on Ethereum. In 2 hours, it went right up to 2050, and now we're trading at above 2100. These are exciting times in crypto. According to Venture Coinist on X, he had a screenshot from this this trading platform. It costs 20 grand a month to be on it, and you get, this really sophisticated advice. And this was from James Seifert and Eric Balchunas, and they said that there's a window for getting spot ETF approval, because the SEC cannot approve an ETF during a comment period. And over the next week, all 12 proposed ETFs are out of a comment period. One just ended yesterday, and on the 17th or 18th, 3 of them go into a comment period. So if they're going to approve all of them and not show favoritism, this next week is when we could see the ETFs approved. And as FinTech Frank said, in 5 years, thanks to those 2 ETF analysts at Bloomberg, this is what we're going to be like. Now, the SEC is having some issues finding crypto experts to join their task force because of their policy. It was highlighted by Jeff John Roberts on X that in order to join the SEC, you have to divest yourself of all crypto ownership. So it's going to be hard to get crypto experts to work for the SEC if they cannot own crypto at the same time. There's a stablecoin that may go public with an IPO. Circle is the issuer of the USDC stablecoin. And the block reported that Bloomberg reported, everybody's talking about how they may have an IPO next year. And you might be wondering, these stablecoins that are pegged to the US dollar, how do they make money? Well, Forbes has a handy graphic that demonstrates what they keep in cash at USDC. They keep about $11.5 billion in cash out of their $53 billion of USDC in circulation. And with the rest of that, They buy short duration US treasuries. So they're earning interest on the deposits for USDC. So if you've ever wondered how do they make money, they're investing in treasuries and other assets. Different stablecoins invest in different things, but this is how USDC does their allocation. Other headlines include what CoinDesk shared, that Robinhood is expanding their crypto trading into the EU. There's been some clear regulation out of the EU lately, which means that Robinhood, which shut down its crypto trading a while ago, is now able to move into the EU. Because there's regulation, we're starting to see some of these fiat crypto on-ramps expand their presence. But the biggest news for me this week was with Iluvium. Iluvium is a gaming token, and in my view, they're one of the best gaming tokens out there. They've got 3 games that they've had in beta for a while, and one of them is sort of like Pokemon on the blockchain. And they've announced a partnership with Epic Games so that one of their arena games, it's still in beta, they're not doing the full launch yet, but that's going to be on the Epic Games store. And it's going to onboard a lot of people into the Iluvium universe and possibly onto the blockchain. And this is one of the tokens that we're going to cover later today. It had major price action on this announcement. Final headline I want to share with you today, that Bitcoin addresses over $1,000 have hit an all-time high. According to the Wealth Mastery newsletter, there are now 8 million unique addresses that hold at least $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now, I read this in a newsletter I get 3 times a week. It's sent out by Lark Davis. It's called Wealth Mastery. It's full of really fun memes like this one. The central bankers said, "You said no more Bitcoin," and the plebs was, "What we said was no more Bitcoin." And not only are there funny memes in this newsletter, but there's also a lot of really great advice. If I want to know what's happening in crypto today, they've got this incredible section at the end. Let me scroll down to it. I mean, they analyze price action on all these different tokens. Rect Capital is one of the contributors. And here, look at this. Look at all of these notes. Little headlines. So if I want to just scan at a glance what's happening in the crypto market, I can click on any one of these links to find out more. So wealthmastery.io, it's a fantastic newsletter. I highly recommend it. So now let's look at the charts. Bitcoin went through this enormous move, and I'm going to go from the daily chart over to the hourly. But wait, let me pull back from the daily for a second, because I want to share with you what's happening on the RSI, the relative strength indicator. Traditionally, it shows when something is overbought or oversold. And it can stay above 70 for a long time if there's a real big bull move. But if there's not more bull pressure, seeing the RSI this high, it makes me think that we're probably going to see a decrease in Bitcoin. Now, this is just my opinion. I'm not telling you how to invest because I'm wrong on this plenty of times. So do what you want, but I'm thinking maybe it could be time for a short if I could find the right entry point. But I was short on Bitcoin, and I got knocked out of the short when it went all the way up to 38,000. I didn't expect it to go above my trend line to 36,000, but boy, it did. Being wrong is part of crypto, and learning how to handle your mistakes and hedge against your own mistakes is part of what makes this game so fun. Ethereum had this enormous move up on the ETF announcement, and normally we see these with a pullback that's going to do one of 2 things. The pullback is either going to continue to get down to the price where it was before, or it's going to make this bull flag where it goes up really high, it consolidates for a little bit, and then goes up further. So if I switch from the hourly chart over to the 4-hour, you could see this a little clearer. We had a big move up, we paused for some consolidation, and then another big move up. Classic bull move pattern. Solana had a big week last week because of the Breakpoint conference and the Fire Dancer announcements. And so we saw a lot of we hit a high on Solana of $47 last week, came back down under 40 for a bit, and we've been consolidating and then moving up. But look at all this volatility, these huge wicks from yesterday. Let's use that price action tool. Sorry, what's the name of this? It's the price range tool. Just yesterday, Solana went up more than 20%. That's the range that it did, was more than 20% from its low of $40 to its high of almost $50. So if you're a swing trader, you either got knocked out of some positions or you were able to really make some profits on those trades. I was really impressed with Link this week. There was some big resistance here at 15. I did a short at $15, and that treated me very well because I saw that 15 was a line of resistance that goes way back. Let me come back over on the monthly chart, and I'll scroll back a bit. And you see all these lower wicks here. This is way back in January of 2022. And then we've got some other support here with the tops of these candles back to 2020. And so you can look at areas of support and resistance like this. And I'll just put in a horizontal ray and I'll say, hey, the top of this candle right here, boom. And then I'll come over to the present day and I'll see, well, that's a pretty solid line of resistance. We went through it on the monthly, we went through it on the weekly, we went through it on the daily, and then we came back down under it. And so that's why I like finding these trend lines, is it helps you find entry and exit points. And now finally, here on the daily, we're looking at Iluvium. Iluvium is the gaming token that I mentioned to you earlier. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the most exciting gaming tokens out there. They've got these 3 super incredible games. One for land, where you grind on resources and you buy in with NFTs. They've got that Pokemon trading game, and then they've got a kind of like it's not a first-person shooter, but it's like you go in an environment and move around. And these games interact. So assets that you earn in one game and find in one game can be used in the other games. It's an incredible ecosystem. They've been working on it for years. I've been following this project for a long time, and I'm really happy to see this price action. So now we're going to hear from Timothy James at Inverse News on TikTok about his bearish prediction for Bitcoin.
Bitcoin has gained approximately 130% in the last 6 months and 7% in the last day. But let me warn you, that thing will go to $5,000 or less. And hi, if you're new, my name is Timothy James. I was formerly known as Crypto Weatherman, and I'm seeing influencers talk about the halving. The halving is going to send the price to the moon. Bitcoin is going to crash to $5,000 or less. Not to worry, I don't think that's coming just yet. If you would like to read this, I will scoot myself to the side and you can pause to read. But long story short, let's pretend that you're JP Morgan, that you're a major financial institution. What do you think that they were doing here in November or October of 2022? Buying. Were you buying back then? They were. Then answer yourself honestly. Do you think that JP Morgan uses a rainbow chart for any of their assets, including Bitcoin, or stock to flow, or the Bitcoin halving that's coming up in April 2024? No! If I was JP Morgan, I would want all of you retail investors to be aping in when price climbs up around to April, and then you would be exit liquidity. And trust me, I've been through this cycle 3 times now as a creator, and I saw most retail buying above 60K. Now, I don't know exactly where the top will be, but leading up into April, that is again where most retail will be buying. Absolutely going to get their handed to them. I know some Bitcoin maxi is absolutely losing their mind right now, but they're talking about tokenomics. Guess what? There's a crypto known as Yearn Finance that has better tokenomics than Bitcoin. There's your price action for it. Tokenomics and the halving are completely meaningless. More shorter term, you do have a macro pivot point at approximately 38,800. So short term, I do think there is more upside. And then we will consolidate for a while and then we push up going into April. I don't know exactly where the top is going to be, but long term, I do think into late 2024, the Bitcoin will crash.
So I really like his analysis on a lot of, he covers a lot of different assets. Follow him on TikTok. He's really insightful. I don't know if I agree with him on this, but I like listening to people who have different perspectives that I don't agree with. Because some of the things he said, I do agree with. You know, that the institutional money will want Bitcoin to be a lower price before an ETF is launched. I kind of figured that if Bitcoin price was manipulated, that's what they would do. Maybe they weren't able to pull it off. Listening to him, it gets me more cautious. So that when I see those big green candles, I'm not going to FOMO in. I'm going to think about this perspective and think, well, maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. For today's education segment, we're going to talk about parallel channels. I'm on the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, and you can see way over here on the left on Tuesday, the 24th of October, we had that huge big spike for all the hype on the ETF news. And ever since then, we've been in a parallel channel. In TradingView, under the line tools, I'm going to go to parallel channel, and I'm going to draw a line from this low right here over through these other lows, and then After I click on that, I'm going to pull up. And what this does is TradingView just gives you a parallel channel. I'm going to rest it right here for a moment. And there's two ways to change the channel. You can grab the corners to change where the start is, but that also changes the angle. So if you want to change the width, that's what the center circle is for. You can click on that and change the center circle. So if you notice, if I bring this up all the way to that huge high we had just below 38,000, I have this dotted line going through the center of the channel. And that still acts as a parallel line. And what I like about parallel channels is that they can give you entry and exit points. So let's say you wanted to do a long order. Okay, so I'm going to take a long position, and I don't want to do a long position right here where it is at 36.6. The best entry point would be at the bottom of this channel. And so I could put my long here, and I can set my profit to be the top of the channel. Now, I don't know if it's going to go all the way between the top and the bottom of the channel. I think that it's more likely that this lower channel is what we're going to see action in, because we did break out of this channel, but if you notice, now we're trading within it. So a smart trade could be to do a short position if we hit the top of this channel again. So I'll select the short position tool, and I'll put a short right at the top, and I'll bring my profit all the way to the bottom, because my hypothesis is if it hits the top, it'll go to the bottom as it's correcting. And then I can move my my stop loss to be just above the channel itself, because my hypothesis is if price action gets to the top of this channel, it won't cross that line, but will instead come all the way to the bottom. And this gives me a risk-reward ratio of 3.69. Seems like a pretty good trade. And so that's one of the ways that you can use the parallel channel to find entry and exit points for your trade. Thanks for watching another episode of Token Trader TV. Please subscribe to the channel and like this video, and answer this question with a comment. Which altcoin is most likely to pump before the end of 2023? Leave a comment with your answer, and I'll see you next time. Good luck out there.